Hello, everyone. Today I am now joined with UK vegan family. So, first I want to ask you the separate questions. Let me just start with Adam. Who are you? Where do you come from? And why did you go vegan?
So I'm obviously Adam, and I come from a little county in England called Worcestershire, and I went vegan purely. Well, it started off plant-based. I started off plant-based for the health side of things, and then I looked into the animal ethics side of it on my plant-based journey and converted to veganism.
Now activist.
And now I'm a vegan activist.
Yeah. Okay, so Danny, I've got to ask you the same questions.
I'm Danny, short for Daniella, and I also live in Worcestershire, which is known for Worcestershire sauce, which is not actually vegan. You can get a vegan version though.
Yeah.
And obviously we're UK vegan family, and I have never eaten animals before. So I was actually raised vegetarian thanks to my wonderful parents. And we have been vegan 2 years. And what started off for me is after I became a mom, I was feeding my son, and it came to what milk are we going to wean him onto following breastfeeding. And I looked at the milk in the fridge and I thought, oh my goodness me, that's actually cow's milk. Of course, it's always been cow's milk, but that's from a cow's breast. Why would I want to give that to my son when I'm feeding my son? And I was like, no, he's not having cow's milk. And actually, neither am I anymore. So I went on to oat milk. And then that was kind of it. Nobody had ever told me about the dairy industry. So it was a few more months before I made the click. And then I had some health issues about a month before we went vegan or plant-based. And I found that I had some issues with my eyes, diabetic related. So I did some research into it and decided to try plant-based. And a year later, going plant-based, this whole health issue has gone away. So we're plant-based initially, had a look at the ethics, and then became vegan. Our son went from born vegetarian to vegan at 17 months after we found out about the health implications of eating animal products. And then about 18 months ago, we watched Dominion, and that's when we became activists.
Yeah. Sounds like a great thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, took us a while.
Yeah. So we already established a topic of today's video, and it's basically about raising vegan children in it, essentially. I have a lot of thoughts about it. So, Riley, you got one child, or have you got more children?
We've just got one.
One, yeah.
Thank you.
How old is he now?
It's hard work. He is 3.5.
Okay. Yeah. Really nice age. Yeah, I can relate to that.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's hard work and fantastic
Yeah.
at the same time. And he's wild. He's always full of beans.
Yeah.
He's a
on the
different
go.
sort of activist.
Yeah, he's active all
He's
the time.
Yeah, so I gotta have to ask like the dumbest question
Okay.
that people ask like vegan parents. How often are you coming across people who are telling you that you're depriving your child of nutrients and so on?
They only have to look at him to know that he's not deprived. So we haven't really been asked that by anybody because they look at him and they see that he's running around, he's asking a billion zillion questions, and actually he's asking someone else a question. He generally says, are you vegan? And if not, why? So they don't ask. He stands up for himself. He's very tall.
He's one of the tallest in his year.
Very intelligent.
He's normal weight. There's literally nothing deprived about him.
Yeah, so
to look at him, you would never know he was vegan. He just looks like a normal child.
He is
careful
a
with your
wording
there, Adam.
He is normal. That's the thing. It's just this society's vision that vegan kids are malnourished, when actually there's a wide proportion of children in the world that are malnourished, and I can probably guarantee that they're definitely not vegan.
Yeah. May I just log out of my Facebook error for a second? It's annoying that they're pinging in messages all the time. Let me see. Log out. I just rarely ever log out, so I just don't. Yeah. So your child should talk to my nieces and nephew, because they are basically raised. Well, I went vegan before they were born, and me looking into like the scientific evidence of like especially with dairy products with the bovine growth hormones and such, it's just so bizarre to me that they aren't why they're given dairy basically, and me as like this adult. If I were to ever try to challenge the children's beliefs, then I would probably get in trouble or something like that. But yeah, it would be.
You would. Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would, because
parents can be very protective
when it comes to food choices.
Yeah.
We've had things like, well, aren't you forcing that on your child? Well, actually, no, because Jack doesn't want to eat animals. He is an animal lover like all children. Mm-hmm. And given the choice, do you want to eat animals, or, do you want to have, a dead pig, so bacon? Pretty sure he's going to choose the vegan option, because he doesn't want to eat animals. You can't force nothing on our son.
It even came to the point where we were having like a fishless fingers, the vegan versions of fish fingers, and I think I accidentally, because I wasn't raised vegan, I think I slipped, just eat your fish fingers, and he was like, there's fish in there.
I'm not eating that. You can have that back. And he's not eating them since.
And he just won't touch them now because he thinks there's dead fish in there.
And he won't eat vegan nuggets because you did the similar thing.
And he tells me, Daddy, why just put the fish back? I'm like, I can't. So he is like, or you'll say, leave my fish alone. So he's very protective. Like he didn't need convincing at all.
Children already know.
When you tell them the truth about it, they already know what their decision is.
Yeah, that sounds like a very interesting thing. That like automatically. So some people would draw like the conclusions that he's brainwashed since like birth or whatever, but
it's actually
it's very
not
much the other way around.
Children.
It's very much the other way around, because they're not raised to know the truth.
Yeah, they're just told
behind their food.
This is a sausage, and you just get told, oh yeah, they might get told it's from a pig, but they don't tell you what happened to that pig,
or whether these animals are like special, and they just give these sausages to us. They don't tell us, there's a special part of the pig that just releases sausages to everyone. And children don't understand.
They don't.
And until you say, look, that pig had to die for that sausage, they'll be like, I don't want it then.
Yeah. I remember way back, I was inspired by Gary Yourofsky, so I was actually sending emails to schools all over, and I asked, can I talk about veganism to the students? Montessori came back to me and said, you can, but don't talk about the ethical side of things.
That's what veganism is.
Yeah, so they wanted me to talk about the implications of health and the environment, but I wasn't allowed to tell them where the food come from. That was basically the word they used. Don't tell the children where the food comes from.
Where the food comes from, yeah, exactly.
Well, Jack tells his friends, doesn't he?
Unfortunately, that is like the trump card. That, as soon as you tell children where the food comes from, they don't want it.
But it's the same thing with adults. So how many times haven't you seen these articles about... can I come with the next example here? They asked men, like, what do you think of like this vegan idea? And the percentages who care about eating plant-based for environment or for health and such, they just didn't mention ethics. in like the survey. It's like not only children, they're trying to mask it away from adults even. So do you have any thoughts on that?
When people find out what happens to the animals,
especially adults, they put up like these like they put up fences.
Yeah, they do.
And
we all do. You just can't unsee it.
And they go around in circles with their excuses, and it's like, is it like, well, I'm not an animal abuser, and then
but I'm an animal lover.
Yeah, but I'm an animal lover, and then it goes to another one, and then it goes back round to.
But lions do
it. Yeah, but I wouldn't do it, even though they're paying for it.
Yeah, the favorite. I'm gonna have to bring this on because you're
circle of life.
Yeah, because you're British, I'm gonna have to tell you this very popular argument that the Norwegians are using nowadays, because it's insane, especially when you come from a country like the UK. So they say we need to keep animal agriculture so that the cultural landscape wouldn't grow over.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I believe that we need animals to graze, or else we won't have the cultivated land around that is needed for all these species that exist in the
these species are genetically modified Frankenstein species. They're not actually. They're breeding animals. These animals that.
That's not the argument, though. It's more like the butterflies and such in the grasslands and everything.
Yeah.
And the thing is, well, yeah, sure, but they've come to be because we created this cultivated land. They aren't needed for the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So.
But then on the other side, you've got factory farms which are ruining the land. There's so many around by us, and you can see, can't you? Well, it's all the stuff they're spurting out of these places, just ruining what's around it. So it goes both ways.
But again, it's like, I'm going back to the children here. It's when you tell a child where the food comes from, they won't eat it. And you can also back it up by saying you can get all the other nutrients, everything you need that you would get. Plus sometimes in meat products they have added omegas and added B12 because the cooking process kills it all.
Yeah, amino acids that aren't essential and such,
Yeah, they add it to the meat. So, and as soon as you tell them you can get it from plant-based sources, they will never eat meat again. But, sorry, I interjected.
That's good to interject.
Yeah, that's fine. This is an open conversation. We don't have like a strict format here.
But that's the difference between adults and children. As soon as they hear that, they will make the change there, and they will decide for themselves. With adults, they just put up these, they'll just close you out, and they'll live in ignorance.
Because it's what you've been raised to believe, that you must eat animals to be healthy, and that you need to drink off a cow's breast to get calcium, and not get osteoarthritis when you're older and break bones, when actually it's complete bull. It really is.
But I can say that because I was once on that side of the fence. An omnivorous eater looking at vegans going, no, and then all of a sudden I'm on the other side of the fence thinking, oh my God, I was so wrong.
Yeah. Very, very interesting indeed. I don't know, there's no easy way to transcend into this because there's a few things to be mentioned here. So let me see, where is a better way to start? Did you decide to become parents?
We did decide, didn't we? We planned and
it's something that we've wanted for a long time. We've worked hard, and we both work, and it's one of those things. It was like something we wanted to do, and it was actually through becoming a family that we became very aware of our carbon footprint, just how much children cost, things like nappies, and how they stay in landfill for like 300 plus years, and the costs, the extra cost on the planet. So it was the start of our journey into a vegan lifestyle.
Having our son set the ball rolling, didn't it? Because we started to become a bit more eco-friendly with reusable nappies and reusable wipes, and then we started looking into things a bit more, And then we started looking into the health impacts on our child with food, and then it led us down to the animal welfare.
Yeah.
So becoming parents has helped us get here.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah. So could you like explain like the reasoning behind like why having a child? Because you're clearly not anti-natalists.
No.
We actually did a video on this, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because somebody said...
Well, you got to think, we weren't vegan when we had Jack.
No, we weren't. We were not vegan.
So we never had that sort of having a child will have an impact on the world view.
Because we didn't know.
But, you know, just us being here has an impact on the world. When you're vegan and then you realise that, then you got to start thinking, well, we weren't looking for excuses into it once we realised that Jack and us would have an impact on this world. But then we come to realise that actually having Jack could be the best thing for this planet. Yeah. Because if we have more people that are more aware of the impact that they're having on the planet, then it would give them the tools to make it better.
Make a change.
Change it and make it better. And yeah.
Well, let's face it, the previous generations haven't exactly done anything to save this planet. You know, there's
false promises.
There's a lot of false promises, and you know, our son is already understanding recycling and looking after the planet. He's already doing his bit. He's only going to go on. You know, all his friends know he's vegan. He's only going to go on and tell more people as he gets older why he's vegan and about the, you know, the environmental impact of veganism. And, you know, that's going to have I'm trying to think of it. It's going to have a long-lasting effect. Going on and on.
And it will slow, it could slow down and even reverse the climate crisis we're having at the moment.
These kids are the ones to fix it.
Yeah, if more children become self-aware of the impact they're having on this planet, you know, they could change it. They could do hundreds of times better than the previous generations.
A bit like Greta Thunberg. Look at the impact. Greta Thunberg. Look at the
I can correct the Swedish pronunciation if you want. Greta Thunberg.
Okay, yeah. See, neither of us got it right. Yeah. She's had a massive impact.
And I know she's been quite, controversial as well. Yeah. You know, a lot of adults going, I don't want a child telling me what to do because I want to eat my meat and I want to drive my 2-litre engine.
Yeah.
on for 30 miles an hour because of the speed limit.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. So I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm a strict anti-natalist myself, because I have heard a lot of good arguments for reasoning for for example, vegans having kids because of this cultural change. I need to be very careful about saying this, so I'm just going to point to it as something my teacher said when I was in gymnasium. He said that Palestinians tend to just have as many children as possible so that they in the future might have a chance of overrunning the Israelis, for example.
Having?
I didn't know that.
Having what? Having what, sorry?
No, having
multiple children.
Yeah, multiple children, so that just to multiply as fast as possible, so that they might in the future be able to overrun the Israelis.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's something my teacher said.
That's not a diplomatic solution, is it?
No, but it's something my teacher said. It's just just a thought process of that. So not like it is the same. Well, it's sort of like the same logic, but not the same thing. It's like if we have more vegans having children, then they might end up bringing another generation of activism through if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's
I mean, there's a lot of children in the world that don't have parents. There's a lot
and unfortunately there's some people
and they don't, and there's a lot of people who can't have children, and I think more should be done to adopt children. 100%.
Yeah. That's exactly where I wanted to go with this.
There should be a lot of that should be done. But at the same time, there is a lot of people having children out there who are having multiple children, raising these children into the standard thing that everybody is eating, and not really giving a damn about the planet and they certainly don't care about the animals.
And they
Whereas
just don't care about their own health.
no, they don't, because they just don't realise what goes on. But then vegans who do have children,
what's
like
the thing?
us,
everything in moderation.
Oh yeah, fruit-based sport.
Said the last person who had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Touch wood. So yeah, sorry.
Moderate amount of cigarettes,
Yeah. Exactly. But vegan parents like us who are out there actually teach children about our impact on the planet and what we need to do to make a difference. Hopefully he's going to go on when he's older, and if he decides to have a family, then he will do the same as well, and it will be like a continued effect.
Yeah.
But more should be done to discuss adoption. And I think if we'd have known about the planet and how bad it really is, I may have considered adoption. Definitely, because it's quite frightening knowing what we know now about climate change with having children. It's a frightening thing to think about.
That's exactly what I want to get into, because bring this to like a personal level, because I've talked to my girlfriend a lot about children and such, and she's told me that it's very strange. I'm not sure if she allows me to tell me this, tell you this, but
it's okay.
Yeah, but she was talking about that her entire life. When people ask what are you going to become when you become older, and she says, I'm gonna become a mum. That is basically what she has always been saying. And then she meets me, who I don't think that I'm responsible enough, if you see what I mean.
That's what you said.
It comes with the boots. Unfortunately, as soon as you become my dad, it's like all of a sudden everything changes.
It's the best thing.
You'll have a lot of things run through your mind. You'll think, "Oh my god, I can't do this anymore," and you'll go out and do that thing 100 million times. For me, it was I was quite a party animal.
Just a bit.
So I went out and hit it hard, like. And then, you just suddenly wake up and think, it's not worth it anymore. I'm a dad and I've got more responsibilities. I've got bigger responsibilities now.
And he looks up to you.
This little tiny, thing that I held is looking at me, wanting protection. So I've got to do everything I can.
It definitely changes your perspective on life.
It does.
100%.
It does.
Well, sure.
And I don't think you're ever ready.
And it's, I'd never, when you get your first love and you love someone.
I was 6 years old, yeah.
And when you're a bit more adult and then you really love someone, you get your heart broken and stuff like that. This love feeling for a child is just unexplainable. It's like a deep, strong bond, and it doesn't feel like it when he doesn't want to go to sleep.
No.
He's playing up at dinner time.
No, we're playing up at dinner time, but
he's having a stroke.
But it's only because you care.
Well,
it's a good question.
It's a good question.
Yeah, but there's more to this in my situation, actually, because I know a lot of what you're talking about, because I think that I had my nephew like 30% or something when he was very little, because my sister had some huge what is it called? What is it called? Like the depression you get out of pregnancy and such.
Postnatal depression.
Yeah, exactly. And that went on. So she absolutely hated her child the first year. So my nephew had his own room in my brother's house, for example. So he went back and forth everyone. So she didn't have him as much. So I've actually been part of raising someone closely. So I kind of understand that type of thought, but when I say that I don't feel responsible enough, it's basically that I got some health issues. So I got I got loose tendencies, and some exhaustion issues that I constantly struggle with. I even struggle taking care of myself sometimes. So I believe like having a child myself might be a little bit of an issue. So I've already decided that sooner or later I'm going to have a vasectomy. But if in the future some miracle happen and we have some idea, we're thinking that adoption might be the best option available. I can also like elaborate a little bit more on what I'm thinking about. My girlfriend and I is thinking of we were thinking of moving to Japan in August, but due to the pandemic, we don't know if we will be able to.
Yeah.
And she has been learning Japanese non-stop. I've been speaking Japanese for many years myself, but and we thought of that if we adopted like a not like the youngest child, but some child from Japan who already speaks Japanese, and we just move back to Norway and keep speaking Japanese, he will be growing up like multilingual and such. But that was like the main thing that I thought about. If you adapt someone in that age, do you think that it could be any issues of like transitioning like your new child to veganism when they're that old?
I don't know, because obviously it's a lot of it is down to the child. With adoption, what's the child's background? What have they been through? There's a lot to think about. And I guess there's going to be not just a transition with veganism, there's going to be a transition of feeling safe and comfortable, and trust. Trust is going to be a big thing. But I think the good thing is...
And ultimately, you can't force a child to be vegan. They've got to decide it for themselves, really. You can't just...
A child that's older,
yeah,
who has already got taste pleasures from animal products, you're going to have a lot of conversations. But I think the good thing is that, especially now, food is so much different the way it's made. You can still create those flavors that people are used to. So I think the first thing you're going to need to do is to ensure that trust is there, that it's a safe place, and then having conversations about food.
Yeah.
A lot of the time when when you get them, you're just going to be making food. There might not be a discussion. It's going to be finding out what they like to eat.
And I said something about forcing children. I didn't mean it like that. I meant like, it's like when you said transitioning over to veganism, and again, it's in their best interest, isn't it? Because we all know in this Zoom it's the best thing for like humans to do. But yeah, like you said, it's they might have already been exposed to different taste pleasures, and you don't know what their background is.
But an open conversation, an open, honest conversation is the first step forward, really. And a lot of children, as we've said, would be horrified by what goes on.
I think educating would be the best way, wouldn't it? Just like what we've all had, just being honest and showing them the truth, because they might have been, not brainwashed, but like been shown the wrong story.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
I got you. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts around that I would think, especially when you adopt like older kids, because I see that older, well, not older parents, like parents who go vegan after the child is about the same age are constantly sending me messages, like I am the right person to know all these questions. And I'm like, what should I do with my child? Who, like, I'm trying to be vegan, but what should I do with my child? He's a picky eater.
It's about telling the truth from the not pussyfooting around it, really, and just tell them.
And the vegan, a plant-based diet is adequate for all ages of life, as long as it's properly planned.
Yeah.
So, just like anything, really, you can't live off Big Macs all life, all your life. You can live off, eating chips all day, every day.
I just got so I got so pissed with all these arguments about. I saw this article of this vegan couple depriving their children of these nutrients. Oh yeah, because carnivore parents never do that.
But most parents don't know how to get these nutrients in their children.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask vegan parents where to get selenium from, they would tell you, give your child a Brazil nut. Just one Brazil nut would be enough.
And if it's, you know,
if you were to ask
there's
me,
other forms of it as
well,
well.
yeah, there is. But if you were to ask me how much calcium my son needs in a day, I would say about 700 milligrams. And you can get that in tofu, soy, like a glass of soy milk. I know how to provide that for him because I've done the research. And a lot of parents today just don't know. They think, oh, I'll give them chicken nuggets, chips and beans. And, you know, they might not eat vegetables. They might eat vegetables, but they don't know how to feed their children all the nutrients because they've never gone out and looked. They just do what their parents did or what their friends are doing. Whereas we sat down and we've gone through how to provide for our son.
And that's it as well. A lot of, you know, my child doesn't eat broccoli. My child doesn't eat this. No, because you've been feeding them salt and sugar all their life.
Yeah.
So their tongue is adapted to like those flavors.
Yeah.
And that's all they ever want. That's all they ever
day.
want is salt and sugar, salt and sugar, salt and sugar over and over.
Yeah. It's
that's why your child doesn't eat broccoli.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Really fair point. Now that I got you to seem like really intelligent, informed parents, can we talk behind the back of like the majority of young parents for a second?
Of the what? Sorry.
The majority of young parents.
Okay.
Yeah, because I read a few studies showing that there is a great possibility that the next generation might be less intelligent. Well, I know that a lot of reasons why that might not be the case, but just for the sake of argument, listen to the studies. It seems as if more stupid people are having more children than more intelligent people, and more intelligent people tend to have children later, and so on. And while looking at many parents who just have no idea what to do, they are the people who have done the worst choices ever. The child might have been a one-night stand, for example. It might have not been
Can I
like...
stop you there?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They've got an Amazon Alexa now. They can just go, Alexa, how do I use a microwave? so there you go. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, because technology is taking away the education as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to...
Yeah, no, it's just really funny. Really funny. That was a really good one.
That's it.
Yeah. I was almost dying of laughter inside.
Yeah. He is like that.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's quite funny.
It's a really good one. I just wasn't
Alexa,
sure if I was going to laugh or not.
How do I feed this baby, Alexa? Alexa, play lullaby music.
What lullaby would you like to have?
Yeah.
Alexa, do you have any suggestions?
The stupid get stupider.
Oh yeah. Because I see a lot of these parents, they don't know how to feed their children properly, and that might be an issue because that might go on to the next generation as well. So for vegans having children, it's sort of seems like to be better of an idea now, like seeing how the evolution of this human race is going, so to speak. What do you think about that?
See, a lot of what people know about nutrition is down to schools and stuff teaching us that cows eat grass and that makes milk. And, you know, in schools in the UK, children are expected to have, for 5 days of the week, a dairy product for their, they have to have dairy 5 days a week. And they have to eat animal flesh at least 3 times a week.
That's like legislation.
Yeah,
it
is
law.
because the dairy industry and the other industries are pushing.
They're like, was it seconded or?
Yeah, like the tax and everything.
The taxes are all pushed there, and then they're pushed back into the. Yeah.
The issue is what society is teaching people. And if that's what is being taught, then that needs to be sorted, not necessarily young parents having children, because if society is teaching one thing, that's what everyone else is sort of going by. We're going out and looking at the research and what we should be eating, and more aware. I mean, there's a lot of young people now who are going vegan, and they are learning about climate change and animal ethics and the health. So a lot more young people certainly are going vegan. But I think a lot more needs to be done.
However, I don't think there's much support there from their parents.
No, there isn't necessarily, because when you're vegan, you're an extremist, and the parents don't want to know.
It's really extreme.
I'm extreme for actually caring about animals. I'm really sorry I offended you.
Too extreme.
But even healthcare systems, they don't know about a plant-based diet and what it can do for people with long-term health conditions. Hospitals are feeding patients with animal products, and this is the issue. It isn't just about the parents, it's just a wider issue. So that needs to be the focus, really. And until that changes, it's going to be difficult.
Well, it's starting with the vegan movement, isn't it? Because there's all of a sudden this growing mass of people saying no to the way society is run at the moment, because we can start seeing that the climate crisis with the temperature and the sea rising, and people are getting sicker and dying younger, and
COVID and all these pandemics.
It doesn't take a genius to
the younger people aren't necessarily stupid. It's the older generation.
The future at the moment, the way it's going, it's probably the worst it's ever been. If we look into the future, it's not going to be bright at all. So something needs to change now, and it needs to change like right here, and it's starting with us as a population on the earth. But I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it's good.
I've lost track.
It's good. I sort of kept track with this all the way along. So don't worry, Adam. I got you covered.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean.
Yeah. And what you brought up here is something that I didn't think about before going into this, and that's good. It makes me think as well, because I was thinking of parenting and so on, but I wasn't thinking so broadly about everything around.
Yeah.
Because just today I sat down with my niece, and we watched through some documentary about the Japanese school system, and they were given a carton of milk every day, and 90% of Japan's population are lactose intolerant. It makes absolutely no sense. So there's definitely some education that has to go through. So especially here in Norway was the same thing with the milk carton every day. It's bizarre because it's so pseudoscience. So it's just strange to me how this doesn't get what's the word? Doesn't not surface. Gets fact checked somewhere along in the system.
But that would ruin the dairy industry, wouldn't it? If you think about
pretty
it,
much props up
farmers would be crying over that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that is a very common argument I hear from farmers. Oh, you want us out of business?
No, we just want to save the cows.
All we want you to do is replace your pasture fields of cows with oat fields.
Yeah.
And you can even make the oat milk on site.
And the vegan society over here do a lot of work with farmers, and they do a lot of funding for helping them to do that.
They're missing the goal. They could have their own local oat milk. Local. That's their selling point. That's local. It was grown in the field next to you.
Yeah.
Not, grass fed.
Yeah.
Milked, shipped from somewhere in a big lorry over to somewhere else to be pasteurized, to be shipped somewhere else to be bottled.
But don't forget the soy that is fed to them in their feeds that's come from the rainforest.
From God knows, because it's been deforested because of the soy, which is all, no, it's not, it's beef raising, which is a load of absolute nonsense.
reminds me of something that I've been arguing the last couple of days. Do you know that Norway are still participating in whaling?
No, I didn't know that.
No, Norway is one of two, well, technically three. Iceland has stopped whaling. Japan is still whaling, and
I knew they were.
they're still whaling at the Faroe Islands.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's like more like a dolphin derived than like a traditional whaling. Anyways, there was this article about this one boat managed to kill so many whales, and people were like arguing down and so on. And I try to argue from like the perspective of veganism, which confuses people who are pro whale products and such. And what I brought up to them was, let me see, I talked about like because they asked me, "Do you eat sausage?" And it's like, yeah, mostly soya. And then they're like, "Oh, but that is not short traveled." And I came to think of this because I've been on anti-whaling campaign, and I see these boats and how far that they go before they manage to catch a whale. With the amount of kilometers that a boat has to go through, can you call that short traveled?
No, I don't think so.
It was just so bizarre to me.
Fuel.
Yeah.
And you've got to think the haul as well. Like is that whale going to feed that many people over this massive cargo container containing loads of soy that could feed everyone?
And all the energy that's gone in to taking that innocent whale from the sea as well.
Again,
why?
It's just playing God with the ecosystems again.
Yeah. Usually what the whales do when they get a proposal, well, that was a long time ago. And then they say, "Oh, but you eat cow and you eat pigs," and then you can say, "No." Then they don't know what to say.
Okay, that old faithful.
Yeah, it was just a really really good. Well, now they've been better at coming up with those stereotypical fallacious arguments, though.
What, as a Norwegian yourself, what do these people get from hunting whale apart from whale flesh?
Do you understand what I say if I use the expression penis envy?
Yeah, I do get that.
Yeah, mine is bigger than yours, so to speak. I was grown up in a hunter family. My father is a moose hunter, so is my brother. My stepmom as well. So was my grandfather. It's just a huge family thing. For me, being vegan, that is so out of like a different world to them.
Yeah.
It is not like they're devoid of understanding. It's just it's so outlandish because they have sort of like this objective moral philosophy in their mind about like, oh, this is something we've always been doing. This is so normal. This is how we get our food.
But that's what we hear all the time. This is what we do. This is what we've always done. And I always say, okay, there's things we've done that our ancestors have done that aren't right. And just because we've always done it doesn't mean we should carry on doing it.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that could relate to.
Yeah, and there is more to go into this, because there are two groups of people that when you try to preach veganness to them, it's so religious that it's hard. So you can talk to slaughterhouse workers, you can talk to hunters, you can talk to butchers, you can talk to farmers. It's like they don't agree, but they sort of can understand you.
Mm-hmm.
With one, and I'm not going to go in detail with this because that can get bloody, horse girls and fishermen. It is so implanted into their head that what they're doing is the right thing to do. It's so bizarre, especially with like fishermen, because they truly believe that they're doing the ocean a favor. The whalers are truly believing that they're doing the fishery industry a favor by taking out a few whales and such. And they are so out of like criticism to such a degree you have no idea. One example of this is to compare when we've been doing vigils outside of slaughterhouses. Then the newspaper comes along, and then they ask like the daily leader, like, what do you think about this? Well, we are in the democracy, and they have and we have no problem with them speaking up their mind and such. But when they were doing this at this fish factory, or where they were loading off the whales up at the Lofoten Islands, and they asked the daily leader there, and he said, well, this is horrible. We are doing something legal and they try to stand in the way of us. They have no right to do so. So you can kind of see that when it comes to fishermen and such, the mentality is absolutely awful.
But is it... how long is it going to be legal for?
I don't know.
And
Norway
Seaspiracy.
Norway might be. Yeah.
We haven't watched it yet, have we?
Oh yeah. Yeah. With Seaspiracy, they focused on the Japanese whaling, and they showed a short clip of some Icelandic whaling vessel, but they didn't mention Norway. Well, not that I could hear.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
It's a spoiler alert. We do need to watch it.
Sorry.
Carry on.
The reason why I brought it up is because I feel like it isn't getting the attention that it needs. So yeah, especially with this, because Japan has gotten like a lot of emphasis on like their Southern Ocean whaling, which is now not happening anymore. They continued after they were it was deemed illegal in the International Court of Justice, but they whale off of their coast, and they have this dolphin drive off of Taiji in the Wakayama prefecture. So it's strange because it isn't getting the attention, and Norway might be the last country to give up whaling. It is a huge shame, and I feel ashamed for being from coming from this country, basically.
But it's down to, what you're doing out there. You're not alone. There's other people who are going to be raising awareness, and it's for all of us to keep talking about it. And we do need to watch Seaspiracy because we realise there's education there for us that we need to learn.
I could understand if the populace of Norway needed to eat whale to survive.
Yeah, that was after the Second World War, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you guys have supermarkets in Norway?
No, it's something that I heard they have in the United States. Oh, of course we have.
Because this is the thing. If you're not in a survival situation, why do you need to eat whale?
If it's life for life, then it shouldn't be any other, you shouldn't have to do it any other way. Well, you shouldn't have to do it anyway, because you shouldn't be putting yourself in a survival situation in the first place.
Not when you've got a supermarket.
Yeah. Do you want to hear the counter argument?
Go on.
Yeah. Well, you see, we who live here with this limited amount of resources with this mountainous terrain, if there become a crisis and it become war, and Norway needed to survive off of our own resources, then we would starve if we didn't have animal agriculture and whaling and such. That is the argument.
Well, the next time we have a war, there'll just be a flash, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, but they bring up this doomsday scenario in there, and it's like it might work as like a philosophical argument to see where people put their ethics, but as like a realistic thought, I don't think it's probable.
No, it's just
and like like talking about children, I don't want our children having to deal with issues like whaling. It's something that should have ended a long time ago. It was our prime minister at the time. This was in the early 1990s. 1994 is when Norway presumed whaling after the whale ban, and her argument had nothing to do with resource consumption. It had nothing to do with necessity. It was all about other nations not telling us what to do.
Right. Okay.
Basically.
Going back to children.
Yeah.
So it's a Norway standing on their own 2 feet, sort of.
Yeah.
We want to be self-independent.
Yeah.
Which is,
understandable.
There's other ways.
Understandable, but when there's a necessary moratorium to save whale population, it's maybe not the best time to do that.
There should be other ways of sustainability being looked at.
Yeah.
Mountainous terrain and all this is just a smoke and mirrors because they can't be bothered to do vertical farming, or there's other, technological advancements we could do now with growing food and things like that.
Why does it always have to be ancient ways?
It always has to be
thousands of years ago.
It's like yeah. If it was good enough for cavemen, it's good enough for us.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, because you mentioned
Yeah.
something about children and the whaling.
Yeah.
You can guarantee, though, it'll be the kids that will be the ones to carry on being a voice. If they've been raised to know that this isn't what we do and this is wrong, they'll be the ones to keep talking about it down the line. It might not happen now, and it might not be for another 50 years, but if we're teaching children that this is wrong.
Oh, you cut out there for a second.
How we've got to do it.
Danny,
sorry. I say if we're teaching children that this is wrong, in 50 years down the line, things might be different as the generation goes. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think what they should do is go out and buy an Alexa and ask them what to do.
God, you and can I just say we don't have an Alexa?
No, we don't.
In case anyone knows how we did it.
Just go back to the dumb generation. It might already be here.
Yeah.
It might have been 2 generations before.
But Adam, because I thought of that. So I thought of like maybe there is some really good argument that might be better, like any of this like name the trait arguments and such. And I thought to myself, doing all this research, I came to think of, why don't I just ask Alexa? So I just had to.
I know.
Or Cortana, or what's the other one?
Google. Ask Google or Siri.
Yeah.
Or Siri. Siri, there's a name. They've all got different names. So
it's really interesting. Especially one time when I was doing some outreach. That no, I haven't got my phone on me. I'm not supposed to while I'm doing this anyways. But I was doing some outreach, and he was coming up with all this like, oh, this is natural and such. And then I took up my phone, and I said, can you give me the definition of an appeal to nature fallacy? And then the phone spoke for me. That was just a really fun one.
But what is natural about drinking? I always go back to dairy.
Yeah, sure.
It really gets on my nerves. What is natural about drinking the breast milk of an animal as an adult? Children tend to wean from the breast in childhood. Why do they then carry on? I can never get my head around it.
I've never understood that. Neither.
No. There's nothing natural about that, actually.
Even when I
animals don't do that. They don't drink animal milk into, old age. They don't.
I have a little bit
natural.
It's not that I disagree, but I have sort of like some criticism to the wording that you use, if I may. Yeah. Because you're familiar with the appeal to nature fallacy. Yeah. Just because something is natural doesn't tell us anything if it's good or bad. So framing the way of dairy, it's probably more useful to go down the route of like saying something like, well, it's something that instead of saying like it doesn't seem natural, to say something like they got bovine growth hormone that are based for this species. Therefore, it doesn't make sense for to just frame it a very different way, because if you are doing some outreach to some people who actually studied philosophy, they could arrest you real quick.
Yeah.
I made a huge mistake in the past. A huge mistake.
Okay.
It was this lady. She had studied neurology. I thought, I was so convinced that there was proof that consciousness was a thing. So I said, but they're conscious, and she was like, you can't prove that. Well, sure, I can prove that. Of course, the conscious. No, you have no proof of that. And I went so badly on this, and I actually ended up losing that debate because I didn't have that knowledge of neurology that she had, for example.
Well, there's a University of Consciousness in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know if they prove if it's real.
Oh, okay. There are things about consciousness that we can measure as like measuring something on a computer. We know that computers are thinking, but are they conscious? So we know that there is intelligent design in plants, but are they conscious? That line of thinking. Because many people go on with the argument, but plants feel pain. Well, where is the nervous system?
Oh, we hear that. all the time.
But when it comes to neurology, there is no way that I can tell that any of you are sentient, for example. The only thing is that I assume I'm sentient. It makes sense that I'm sentient, and thus it makes sense that you are sentient. Because I experience sentience. Logically, you do the same. But people kind of say that, oh, other people are humans, so therefore I can assume that they're sentient, but other species, nah, I'm just going to assume that they're not sentient, for example.
When you can clearly see that they are sentient, especially when you interact with the animals.
Because they think and they experience emotions. And
they do.
And it seems as if children have some kind of natural instinct where they like automatically know what's sentient or not. Like we can't prove it, but it's like with our ration it can make sense. Like children don't go up and torture animals unless there's something wrong with their head or something.
Yeah, and actually you're saying that
there can be a serial killer.
If a parent was to find their child torturing animals, they would be very concerned. They would be thinking, well, what's happened to my child? That's not right. This needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
You know, and
they're probably currently paying for people to do it for them.
Yes, children tend to be the innocent ones in the animal agriculture system.
What's happening?
He's going to go and get a drink.
Is that okay? If that's all right.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I've drank mine, thanks.
Yeah.
But I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like I say, children are the innocent ones in animal agriculture, and I think it was Earthly and Ed who said, if you were to put a child in a cot with a rabbit and an apple, a child that's old enough to eat, they're probably going to stroke that apple.
Yeah.
And they're going to eat. No, they're going to stroke the rabbit. Sorry, not the other way around. And they're going to eat the apple.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to take a chunk out of the rabbit, are they? Because you're going to think, oh my goodness, what's the matter with my child?
Actually, he probably learned that from Gary Yourofsky, to be fair.
Probably.
Yeah. Gary Yourofsky got it from somewhere else, but I don't remember his name.
Some other activist.
Yeah.
We're all here doing the same thing.
Yeah. And I know that there is a huge disagreement within the vegan community and the scientific community if humans are omnivores or herbivores. Personally, I don't care, to be honest. But it's a very interesting thing to go through. Is like what is our physiology actually? Something that I thought of is that the main arguments for humans being omnivores are, for example, the B12 thing. Another thing is that we can what is it called, regulate cholesterol to some degree, and there's some molecular science that I'm not going to go through at all because that's almost like its own language. But those three things are all mechanistic data. Which is like low form of evidence, so it's not like useless, but it also like raises the question: how valuable is it? It's just a fun thought. It's nothing that I want to use as an argument. Well, I used it in the past, but now I just see that there isn't enough evidence to like pinpoint humans' physiology at all. Actually,
you sound like you have all the information that you need when you're outreaching, and I would struggle if I was on the opposite side to say anything against what you're saying. It's pretty good.
I say nothing is like proven, but I've come to believe that, you know, just through my own thought and investigation and research, that humans, when they were first, you know, were primates, and, you know, was it Homo erectus and things like that, I think they were predominantly plant-based.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think just through thought and things like that maybe, you know, during, is it like an ice age or was there 2 or 3 ice ages? I don't know. So looking at different geological rocks and things like that.
Yeah.
Over that time, I think humans had to adapt to hunt to survive, because in an ice age, what grows in an ice age?
And there's no supermarkets.
There's no supermarkets, and
I
think they then things slowly started turning with the physiology of our bodies, because we started becoming very, you know, reliant on animals. But then the ice age, you know, went away, and then we evolved into Homo sapien
and later Homo sapien sapien,
But none of that really matters because it's part of our history.
but again,
things were different then, weren't they?
But there was, I think that was a survival situation again.
It
Yeah.
would have been.
We weren't naturally born that way.
Now, and there's a lot of discussion there, and it was. I think I'm not sure if it's like rock hard proof, but I think like I don't remember the term that came before Homo erectus, but seemingly they were only finding like plant matter in their teeth, basically, something like that. So that there might actually be something to look into there. Though if we are omnivorous, that's maybe some evolutionary traits that we're going through right now because we're really horrible at regulating cholesterol, for example.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Do it better than rabbits for sure, but I mean, but still, humans have a very hard time getting our LDL cholesterol score below 9.8 millimoles per liter. So it really raises the question. But as I see right now, it might actually be that we are like in like a mid evolutionary stage or something like that. It doesn't really matter to me, but it's a very interesting discussion to have, nevertheless. Because I don't care what's natural. Everybody can live vegan. So.
Yes.
That's what I mean. I think through like, I'm disappointed to say I think humans are omnivorous.
Whereas I disagree, but that's a conversation
through the whole
day.
evolutionary, and whatever which way you want to look at it. But it's being omnivorous is not the best thing for our health.
Yeah, definitely.
We weren't that way in the start. We've had to survive that way. So what we really should do now is, now we're not surviving, is go back to how we were happily living when we were,
People have developed the taste for flesh.
That's it.
And breast milk and eggs. So that's not just going to do that, are
back
they?
to what was naturally right for us when we were first around. But
it's bizarre. About like raising children, for example. Raising animals, like I recently had like I was gathering money for my birthday to give to this hen sanctuary. I've managed to get like 3,000 NOK. That's about I don't know how the currency is now, but it's somewhere along the line of 300 pounds, I think. I managed to
That's
scrape
amazing.
together.
Really good.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, I asked everyone on my friends list to donate 20 NOK. It's like, it's almost like just removing a decimal, and then you have translated to pounds almost. And she is it is one lady that basically has this sanctuary mainly. She is doing almost like too much, but they become like her children because she is such a caring person.
Yeah.
And every single time one of those chicken die, she goes into total sorrow. And this is something that many people would say that if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be the right person to do this. But one could ask like the same thing to parents. If you can't stand accidents happen with your child, should you then be a parent? It's sort of like a very interesting thing. So, and now that is also one other reason why I decided to not have children, because I don't think that I can stand accidents happening.
Accidents are a normal part of life, aren't they? Really,
It's a good thing to do because they learn from it.
They learn that, Jack, for example, likes to jump on the sofa because he thinks it's his own personal bounce castle. But Jack has also learned that is fun, but also if he's not careful, he'll fall off the sofa and smack his head, and then he's going to cry, and then,
Yeah.
So accidents are a part of growing up, but, for many people, accidents, they happen during life. You can, cross over the road and you can get run over, or, things like this happen, don't they, really?
That's a fatal accident.
Yeah, but you can. It is an accident. That's what I mean. You can't avoid.
Learn from that one.
No,
Yeah.
well,
I have
not
a very
really. It's an accident.
How to walk again.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, you can't avoid accidents. They're accidents because they're accidents, really. You can't avoid them.
My aunt has had a very hard time. My cousin, he committed suicide for a few years ago. I was off on the western part of Norway on like it is called a folk high school. It's basically a 3 year with the one type of study that you're doing. I did music, by the way, and I was there and I couldn't get back when he died because the school year was almost ending and it wasn't practical for me to go anywhere. But she's been really sad ever since, and I thought of this a lot because like in the past, like child fatality back in like the 1800s, they got like a bunch of children that some would at least survive. So it's just really strange. Like, how would you deal with it if something happened to your child? If your child died or something, like what will you do?
Things like that, I would say every child, every parent is different. You could worry about things like that, like what I said before about going out and getting run over. You could worry about those kind of things. When I first became a parent, the reason I say about this is I used to have anxieties about leaving the house and crossing over the road and a car taking us out as we were crossing. So those are normal type of things to worry about.
Even I get it sometimes.
Yeah, you do get anxiety as a parent.
Yeah.
It is part of it because you just want the best for your children. But I would try to say things like that. Don't spend time worrying about it because you want to enjoy the time you have with them. You know, you're always going to worry. You're probably going to worry for the rest of your life. My granddad actually said that to me. I still worry about your dad, and he's like, 60. So you're always going to worry about them, but you want to enjoy them and not worry about things like that.
Yeah,
that's what I would say to anybody who said that to me. Make the best of it because they're only little for such a short period of time.
Yeah, and just I'm not going to continue on this like very long, but like if something did actually happen, what will you do then?
You just have to get through it.
Grieve.
You would grieve. It would probably take a long time to grieve, but you would just get through it.
Yeah.
Grief it's a process and it has to be acknowledged. And we all go through grief, not just for losing people. We go through different types of losses. So you would get through it together.
Yeah.
Whoever you got around you, you would have to have support, 100%.
I must say, I'm so impressed with you actually, because I've now asked questions that are like so emotional to many people, and like you can't ask these horrible questions, and you just answer them like logically. I'm just blown away.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you. Yeah. So what about you, Adam? What will you think if you just saw, like, it doesn't have to be your child, but like what if a near family member just died?
Well, yeah, I would grieve. I've been upset over many family members dying, actually, and you just have to get over it, and you just have to try and make the most of the memories you had. Personally, I'm going through a bit of a tough time at the moment because my nan hasn't, as of yet, died, but I've lost her because of dementia.
Oh, I went through the exact same thing, actually.
So in a way, I have already lost her, and I'm literally helpless to her now. She's just an empty shell of what she used to be, and that person is just not my nan anymore.
Yeah.
There's days where she doesn't recognise me. She doesn't even recognise her own children, my mum, or so. But yeah, going back to the question,
can I elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah.
This is something that's also really new to me, because my nan, basically grandmother on my mother's side, she became really demented. Not I don't remember which side of the brain, but the wrong side of the brain went first. So yeah, she early on, not like an empty shell, but she was existing inside of there, but she was just sitting there doing nothing.
Okay, right. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
and that went on. Like she was like, she hadn't even turned 60 when it started, and she sort of survived to like beyond 70 actually, which
It was heartbreaking.
yeah, it is. So it's just it just moves me really hard when I hear other people have like similar stories, because she was like one of these like really kind of people that I've ever met. I was like the kid in the middle amongst my siblings, and she saw me when like I was like this thing in the middle, and she kind of got me into saw what I was interested in, and so to speak. And also we had like very similar interests. Like she also like spoke at her age. She not only spoke English, but she spoke French and German. So yeah. So yeah, I was like really near to her, and you bringing up that was like very very moving to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
People are though.
Yeah,
People are.
Yeah, it's it's a shame. It's a real shame. She was a lovely, bubbly character,
and love for animals. Like she obviously wasn't vegan, you know, at the time, you know. But I'm sure that if I like brought to her like the ideas, I'm sure that at least I could convince her to be vegan. I'm quite sure of that. The only one that I've managed to convince that I had a stepbrother who went vegan, but my stepfather at the time left, so that's got sort of like a pity. Yeah.
I think a lot of us struggle to
but you
talk to family members about veganism, because they get their backs up and they're like,
or it's just like, oh, it's just a phase.
It's not just a phase.
You know, I used to know you when you was only this high and you was chomping down them chicken nuggets. He'll be back to it in no time.
What about the grandparents though? Like your parents when it comes to your child.
My parents raised me vegetarian, remember? So my parents are very supportive, and my mom is vegan, and my sisters are vegan.
You've got a very interesting story to say about your granddad.
Oh, my granddad, going off track slightly, was
Answer my question afterwards. Yeah.
What's that?
Answer my question afterwards.
You answer your question then.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if I'm going through, people losing loved ones, I think what you need to do is acknowledge your grief. You need to make sure that you've got, support around you. You need a support network. You need people, picking yourself up, and it's quite easy. It's quite easy to lock yourself away and not face it. You need to face it. You need to like accept it. And just and remember it and move on. Really, I know it's really hard to say that. It's really easy to say.
It's not though.
But it's not. It's not. But that's kind of like the things you have to go through. You have to sort of like accept, and then you need to, there's like the denial bit. You're like, no, just can't lost there, and then you just have to move on, and you just have to get people to, a good support network. That is probably the most key thing.
Yeah.
There's always people out there to help you, even if you haven't got a support network directly around you. There's people you can talk to. Yeah, so there's always people to talk to.
So like the difference between like when you lose like some loved ones or when you have a heartbreak. It's like when you have a heartbreak, it feels like you're like on fire. But when you lost somebody, then you're like an empty shell.
Empty, yeah.
It's normal to go through complete denial at first as well. It gets a lot deeper than that, but there's stages of grief which have to be acknowledged, really.
Yeah.
But you were going to say something about your granddad.
I was just going to say.
Go on, Danny.
It's a very, because you were like saying about your grandparents.
Yeah, bring it on, Danny.
My story's a bit different because obviously I was raised differently, but my granddad was a hunter. He was a lorry driver. He ate lots of animal products. He used to shoot his own animals and eat them. I'd often find horrible things in his freezer that used to terrify me. And before we went vegan, he'd had multiple heart attacks. He'd almost had a stroke. He'd had a carotid ectomy. He'd had to have his, it had to be scraped in here. We almost lost him. He'd had bypasses. He went vegan 2018, and his cholesterol
better
is
than ours.
better than mine, and I'm whole food plant-based. His diabetes markers were up. He was, very nearly almost diabetic. It's gone back down to normal. He's come off a lot of his medication. So, what we were saying before, though it's really hard conversation to think about relatives not very well, there's also that impact behind of society has taught them what a healthy diet is, like your parents, and they struggle to see that what we're doing is healthy because they believe that their meat and 2 veg and moderation is healthy. But then we're seeing these diseases more and more now because people are eating more animal products every day.
Because they say it in moderation.
They
don't do it in moderation.
I only eat a little bit.
Every single meal of the day, unless you're having cereals or porridge, contains meat.
Yeah, really good one there to elaborate more on that. Well, like moderation. Eating in abundance is a really great one. And then I ask them, what have you eaten today? And I'll tell you afterward what I've eaten today. And it turns out I've eaten actually in more moderation than they have.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Adam, how about your parents?
My parents are separated, but that's not a problem.
Mine too. We're in the same boat there.
Yeah.
Alexa, what do we do with the separated parents?
Parents, yeah. But my dad has had similar heart issues. He had a heart attack at Christmas on Christmas Day.
Oh, geez.
He survived. He's been incorporating, I wouldn't say, more plant-based foods into his diet. He's not. I don't think I'd ever convince him to go vegan.
But he's supportive.
But he's supportive. He's supportive of us.
Yeah.
He's never like judgmental. He's never like, oh, this is how we used to do it, son. Because I think deep down he knows, it's the right thing to do.
And you can see our son thriving as well.
Yeah, you can see Jack running around like an absolute nutcase.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mum, on the other hand, is not so supportive.
No.
But she's the one also as well with all these health issues. So yeah, I'm just not fussed really.
But I'd like to say
it's my life now.
Parents' opinions don't matter, do they?
No, they don't.
Nobody's opinion matters. What matters is that our son is healthy, he's thriving, and it's our son.
Yeah.
We're the parents, nobody else. Everybody else can just go.
So they can have their. If you understand what I'm saying, they're 2 pennies worth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll go
on your bike.
Yeah.
Okay. You finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Because people will have something to say when you have a family. Yeah. Everybody suddenly knows more than you.
Yeah, everyone suddenly,
And it's really frustrating. Yeah. And to sort of nip that in the bud early on is the best thing to do. Say, no, I'm the parent. I'll listen to what you say, but actually I make the decisions around here because it's our child.
Yeah, I think with my parents, my mum, ultimately, it was kind of like, okay, I'll sit here and I'll wait for your parenting to fail.
Yeah.
And she's still waiting now.
Yeah, still waiting. It's going to happen any day now.
Any day now, the phone's going to ring. The phone is going to ring, and I'm going to be like, I told you, son.
Yeah. It's like people who say like, oh, but we haven't had this huge vegan population in 30 years. And in 30 years, they're probably going to say, oh, but we haven't had a vegan population for more than 30 years. I'll wait to 40 years. And then they're just going to add another 10 years to their equation, to their argument. It's just whenever it's going to stop,
None of it matters, though, because their arguments don't matter.
No.
Really does not keep me up at night, I can tell you now.
No.
It doesn't.
No, I remember first time I saw someone being raised vegan. It was a couple of LA vegans, what are they called again? Nina and Randa. You heard about them?
No.
No, they're twins, and their mum went vegan due to, well, first of all because of health issues, but then like the ethics and such. They're grown up their entire lives vegan, and like being twins, and they see like the same result for both, and it was just a really amazing.
I have to check them out.
Yeah, I know that many people don't like them because of like their personality and such, but yeah, no problem ethically.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting, like into makeup and like all these girly things. So, you know, it's like
It's not. No, I'm not really into that.
no.
I don't get time for
No,
stuff like that.
no.
To be honest, it's
I usually
busy life.
don't even get time to put my socks on. So, so
It's busy.
Hey, look.
yeah.
Because we work, we've got a young family. You know, it's all go go go. So.
And I'm lucky if I get some sleep. To be honest.
No, but you do like to game. You like to go on your game,
I
don't
think
you?
a gaming session.
Yeah.
Also, to another study that I read about parents and especially dads. So, Adam, if I ask you like the most, what can I say, emotional question you can ask dads ever.
Okay.
Ever since you had a child, have you ever felt like you're not getting enough attention?
Oh, in that way.
Yeah. Like the child is just taking up all of the attention.
Things do change, don't they?
They do change for the first couple of years. But then the fire just
Okay, yeah.
just relights.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
if you're meant to stay together.
Yeah,
it
if you're
does.
meant to stay together, you'll see it. You'll see through the storm.
You become stronger. We've become stronger, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Through this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because there were like 2% of mums who felt the same thing, and it was almost like, I don't remember anymore, somewhere between 60 or 80% of dads actually felt like they weren't getting as much attention anymore, and like felt like something was missing after having
But then
children.
I would say, are those dads mucking in like Adam does? Because Adam was mucking in right from the beginning. You know, he was really involved and really.
But I was also aware of things that I wouldn't be able to help with. You know, like this is a mum job. You know.
Yeah, but you still helped and
Yeah.
do what you can. I think, there's a lot of people who are very traditional in way they do things, and
Oh my.
maybe getting involved. We know a lot of people that don't help. The
Well,
mom
no,
do
no.
things, and you can see why that
Like
they're not getting
like,
any attention.
Maybe the father will go to work. He will come home, and he already thinks that he's done enough just by earning some money.
Yeah.
It is hard. It changes your relationship, doesn't it? But you've got to work at it. You've got to talk. You've got to find a way through it, like we have.
Yeah, it was tough in the first.
It was when you get no sleep.
Yeah, for the first couple of for the first year or so, you
Big
just have to
adjustment.
bite the bullet. You've made this decision to have a child now. You've got to.
You don't get a book.
You
Just
can't
got
just walk away.
Yeah.
Some people do, and
We've just winged it.
It's beyond me.
Really.
Oh, you two are amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because I can ask you like almost any question, and you don't get butthurt by anything I'm saying.
Oh
You just-
no.
Oh, that's
Butter.
amazing.
But,
Love it.
Yeah. So the interesting how was this? I'm almost forgetting it. No. I had it like so in front of my tongue, and I was like disappeared. Was it something about who should have children? Was it that? Yeah, because I've thought a lot about like unwanted children and such. This is like a crazy idea that I have so many times. I don't know like how awful this thought actually is, because I don't think having children should be like a human right. Because I know that there's a lot of people who shouldn't have children, for example.
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
So, me personally, I know that the technology is not there, but if we could implement some kind of law that it's not like a vasectomy, it's almost it's like this type of thing that you attach to the what is it called, the spermial tube or something. What's it called again?
The sperm duct.
Yeah. So yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Just a piece of anatomy.
Yeah,
Anyway, it's like you can turn off a switch, and sperm cells won't like enter to like the ejaculated liquid.
All right.
Yeah, and that is sort of like a new technology. But like with that, maybe we could actually implement it being impossible for somebody who haven't like done the right paperwork to have children, like every newborn male baby born were to be like attached to this type of technology. And to open it up, you have to first be 18, and your doctor have to make sure that that you are capable of having a child, and then he can just lock it up. Many people disagree with this type of technology. What's your thought?
I think there's a lot of ethics and a lot of morals to consider there.
Yeah.
These kind of discussions, I'm looking at, for example, male circumcision for babies. There can be a lot of discussions around this, and that it's, it's a choice. It is that child's anatomy, that is their body, and you are making a choice for them that doesn't necessarily actually need to happen. A lot of what we could do these days, I mean, I don't necessarily have an opinion on that. A lot of what we can do as parents, and it is our responsibility, is to educate our children on where babies come from, probably from a young age. I don't reckon a lot of parents do that with their children. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it should be necessarily a thing given to a baby.
No, I don't personally like the idea of causing unnecessary harm to a baby for that reason.
I've heard
maybe
a paedophile,
a serial paedophile. I think that'd be a great thing.
Less paedophiles in the world.
Yeah, less
paedophile children in the world.
I know, because
maybe
so many.
I'm one of those very few people who try to like speak up for like people who are actually pedophiles but don't do anything. Like
rapists.
Because a majority of child rape is done by people who aren't really pedophiles. Majority of pedophiles aren't raping children. So just like make that distinction.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think when it comes down to anatomy.
Yeah, because many people would use the same argument as you when it comes to vaccines, for example. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I know. That's a huge thing. Yeah.
That opens up a lot of emotions.
It does.
And as a parent, I can see both sides of the argument. And it comes with a lot of emotions, and there's probably a lot of anger because, you are questioning, not right now, but for example, you are questioning my parental decisions that I've made for my child. And whoa, did you just do that? So that's a conversation in itself.
Yeah, this is all just rhetorical anyways, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
there's lots to consider.
Even vaccines for ourselves at the moment raises a few eyebrows.
Yeah, it's all to do with body autonomy, isn't it?
We're not anti-vaxxers by no.
I'm not even going there, but it's about your body, and as a parent, our responsibility is to look after our son.
Yeah.
Ensure his health and his upbringing, and anything that I think was going to make a decision for him where he couldn't have children, I wouldn't want to make that decision for him. That's his decision when he's older, I think. But it's definitely something to consider. But I think, I would not have wanted that for Jack when he was born. No.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's fair. Yeah, it's just I feel like it's a very interesting topic to go through because many people haven't thought of in those realms before. Nowadays, it seems like people have some kind of idea of some objective morals in the society. And as you said that you could see both sides of the case when it comes to vaccines. Many people can't see two sides of one thing anymore.
No.
Which I've seen a lot in social rights. It seems as if unless you are as far to the left as possible, or 100% pro-life, or what more is there? Completely for all types of LGBTQ plus type of thing. If there is one ever there for some people, then they just toss you out of the window straight away type of thing. And I don't find that from you.
I would say I'm vegan for the animals. That
Yeah.
is my whole thing. But if I saw somebody hurting someone else in front of me, I would
especially
not
if it was
be-
like you know, LGBT, you know,
Yeah, I wouldn't
were,
stand there
if
and
they
let
were,
that happen.
no,
I would
especially if they were
get
of
right
a
in
different,
there.
how do I put this politically correct, you know?
If we saw any form of bullying, for example, I wouldn't stand there and watch that happen.
No,
I would do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really good. Yeah.
It's like we're not. It's like it's this intersectionality thing, isn't it? It raises the thing. I personally don't think other things should be brought into veganism. However, I do feel that veganism does share some qualities with, you know, LGBTQ, you know, and things like that. But I wouldn't go to an LGBTT plus march shouting about veganism.
No, exactly. It's a very interesting thing because I've seen some people who are like openly like this type of modern intersectional, I say, because the original definition was different from what it is practically now. And they refuse to be in animal rights march because they're afraid someone here might be homophobic or somebody here might be. I talked to this about the vegan Pixie Warrior as well.
Yeah.
Where a lot of those people they won't be with vegans because this one might be a racist or this one might be a homophobic, and the same people have no problem going to like a women's rights march along people who aren't vegan. Bizarre.
I think the issue is that as a vegan, it's the least we can do for the animals.
Exactly, yeah.
What every vegan should be doing is watching Dominion, or at least watching something, and opening this.
Yeah.
And using it for the animals, because who else is going to do it when we have such a big fight on our hands for all these people who are still eating them?
So we're fighting for ourselves plus the animals.
Yeah, we're out there trying to normalize vegan kids and be a voice for the animals through activism, outreach, stuff like that. But it shouldn't just be us. I mean, we went to a slaughterhouse a few weeks ago, and outside, we've got a video. Outside, we stood out of a pig slaughterhouse and we heard them being gassed in a gas chamber. That was awful. Why should we be there? It shouldn't be us standing there, should it?
No.
But we are, because we are using this.
Yeah. So
but it should be non-vegans attending these places and hearing it.
So whenever there's like a cube of truth or something, what do you think about children? Should children be allowed to watch the screens?
Well, the thing is, your opinion might be a bit different. If a parent is not letting their child see it, then what's the issue here? They're obviously admitting that there's something not very nice here. That's the thing. So I have no issues with a child seeing the truth. We're taught not to lie to our children. You're taught not to lie. It's the truth. But the same thing, my son is 3, our son is 3. Mm-hmm. I do not want him seeing slaughterhouse footage because they're impressionable and they do get nightmares and things, you know, they have an imagination. So we do have to bear that in mind. But I would have an issue with a parent saying, I don't want my child seeing that, because that's them sort of saying, well, it is bad. You know, they're denying the child the truth, basically.
I think
trying to cover their eyes. And
I think if I pretty much agree with what you say there. However, I think if the parent doesn't decide to let the child, you know, if they're of a good age, like this is, you know, I wouldn't want a 1-year-old. Well, a 1-year-old probably wouldn't even understand what was going on. But say if they're at this like in betweener age, where they're just coming like to self-awareness and things like this, they're just trying to understand what's going on in the world and the whats and the whys are going on. I think if the parent decides to not let their child watch what's going on the telly, then I think they should tell them what's going on in the telly and why it's going on.
I think it should be taught in schools. Personally,
that's perfectly sound.
I think, right, you can't watch it, but I will sit here and I will tell you what's actually going on in
But telling you what's going on doesn't necessarily affect you the same way as seeing
No,
it.
well, I don't think
Does it?
a child, should have the burden really of
No.
a 3-year-old shouldn't
No,
be really
definitely not.
carrying the burden of what
No.
other humans do to animals.
We protect our son from stuff like that. He knows.
We tell him what he kind of needs to know.
He does. He knows that.
But he doesn't need to see like a cow being hung upside down and
I
disemboweled.
would protect him from that.
To understand that.
I'd protect him from that. But he knows that bacon is a dead pig. He knows that ham is a dead pig. You know, he knows enough. But I think, yes, some children out of keep of truth. They should see it, depending on age, really.
So there was one more thing that I thought I needed to bring up, because this is something that I thought a lot about, especially when I became vegan and such. So I can understand most holidays are like easy to veganize and everything. What do you think about Halloween?
Very interesting question, because we tend on our channel to interview other families for their suggestions.
Yeah.
Just to bring it to light,
really. One thing we've taught Jack to do is to ask, is this vegan? We haven't done Halloween yet because of COVID. And when we have done Halloween, we've just gone round to see the houses. We've not done anything else because I don't necessarily like children eating sweets, sugar and all that.
Yeah, sure.
And he's only 3. So we have done like a little party at ours, and my family have come. We've had a little party and he's dressed up, stuff like that. Yeah. But I think as he gets older, getting him to say, is this vegan, makes somebody think. And a lot of the sweets that are in bags are accidentally vegan anyway.
Yeah.
And he would look at something and go, oh, no, thank you. That's got cow's breast milk in, or it's got bones in it. He's like that. He is like that.
Never thought about that before. They can actually send out children to ask, is this vegan?
That's what he does. And the other day he came home with a party bag. There'd been a party at the nursery, and in there was something that looked like this plastic pog. And I was like, oh dear, what's this? I got it out and I said, oh Jack, that's a chocolate coin. And he said, can you open it? So he wanted to see it. And I said, that's got cow's breast milk in. I said, do you want it? I gave him that, that moment. We had a good chat, and he went, I don't want it. It's got cow's breast milk in. Yeah. I said, so we'll take it back to nursery tomorrow. And he did. And he handed it over. I said, I don't want that. It's got cow's breast milk in. That's what he's like. He doesn't want it. He doesn't not want it because he's been educated on what it is.
And he didn't go without, because we do keep like a little backup supply of something in the house. And we said, look, we've got you another chocolate here if you'd like that.
Yeah. Like, people are like so worried about kids missing out being vegan. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what they are missing out on. They are missing out on a lifetime of health issues. That's what I'm going to say. They're not going to get atherosclerosis like most kids already have these days from McDonald's and all the other crap they eat. So
there is vegan things.
Yeah, there is vegan junk food and, stuff like that. But he's missing out on a lot of health issues later on in life. So
you can make veganism and as healthy or as unhealthy as you want it to be.
Yeah. He certainly eats healthy, so but Halloween is a good one.
Yeah, my doctor was very skeptical when I first went vegan. First of all, I didn't want to tell him I was vegan. My mum told him.
Okay, doctors, I can tell you, only get a small amount of nutritional education.
I know. So like in the beginning, he was really skeptical. He's getting like less and less skeptical as the years goes on. But he keeps bringing up these studies of like mothers who have had like iodine deficiencies and such because they were vegan and such. It's like, why do you bring this to me all the time?
But then going back to what I said earlier, before I went vegan, I've never eaten animals before. I've never known about iodine. I've never paid attention to B12 or omega. Yeah. As soon as I become vegan, I need to eat iodine, so I'll make sure I get it. Yeah, so you do the research. You supplement. I never supplemented beforehand. Kelp. Yeah. So the rubbish.
You got like iodized salt.
Yeah, it's easy to incorporate into your plant-based diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're having this huge issue in Norway that I think that the dairy industry has some functionality in this, because there is very little iodine in the salt we have.
Okay.
For some very strange reason, I don't know why. Interesting thing is the dairy company has like this question thing, like, are you getting enough iodine? And they ask like question, do you eat this and that? And then I was like, I'm gonna end up with them telling me that I don't have enough, and they're like, do you supplement with iodine and how often? And then I clicked on that one, and they said, the dairy industry told me you're getting enough iodine through supplementation, but I must note the majority of iodine in Norway is through consumption of dairy products.
Yeah.
It was honest, but I mean, it was just really. It's like, why are you telling me this?
That's how broken it is.
The healthcare system is.
That's how broken it is.
It's propped up by these industries.
That makes people go, I need to go and get some milk. Because I need to go and get my iodine, which I've never ever thought about.
Never thought about that before.
What I mean.
Yeah. I would say, before I was vegan and plant-based, not once did I go to the fish and chip shop, sit down with my fish and chips and go, oh, I can't wait to get these omega-3s, 6s and iodine. I just can't wait. You know, I'm feeling a bit like dehydrated of iodine today.
Yeah. I didn't see it in the UK, but is there like a huge deal with fish oil in the UK? Okay, then it isn't. Then it isn't. If you don't know, then it isn't. In Norway, if you go into a store, they have an entire aisle full of fish oil.
Oh yeah, they have that here.
Like cod liver oil type thing.
Like cod liver oils, you know.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. Well, the thing is, it was a necessity back in the days because it was the only iodine accessible in like the 20s to 50s actually. They said it was due to omega-3 fatty acids, but truth of the matter, it was due to iodine basically. But this has caught on, so people still buy it, although there's no necessity for like any supplementation of omega-3 fatty acids. It's just so bizarre. They can just take an iodine supplement.
But don't forget, these people still think they need the breast milk of a cow.
Yeah.
Calcium. So it doesn't surprise
still
me.
Need to eat red meat to get their B12.
Yeah. My stepmother, when I told her, because I figured I got high baseline cholesterol score. So I tried to call up my dad. He didn't reply, so I called up my stepmother, and she has worked for a dairy company many years. And I told her about this, and I said, now I've been also on a low fat diet, and I managed to get it down to 2.3. And she said, well, then you should consume a little bit butter, because it's lubricating your your blood veins a little bit. And I was like, what?
It lubricates them so much that you develop atherosclerosis.
Yeah. It was just so bizarre.
We had one person, which we're not going to name, but when they were talking about, I think it was their partner not losing weight, and they were like, trying to. What was it? We were trying to lose weight.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And then they were like, "Oh, is there other healthier sources of fat?"
And I mentioned peanut. I mentioned peanut butter as a healthy source of fat.
They're like, "Is there healthier butters?"
Yeah, and I said no. Peanut butter is healthier than butter. Like, oh no, I thought it was worse. I thought peanut butter was a worse source of fat.
We're like, how?
Yeah.
I also got high metabolism, so my way of getting around not getting my cholesterol score up, well, that's been an issue now due to one reason. Peanut flour. It's basically my go-to, but there is now a peanut flour shortage in Norway. There was like 4 bags left. If you watch the video that I just uploaded, I just went over there by bicycle to buy peanut flour.
Cycled 30 kilometers, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then back again.
No vegan deterioration here.
And there was no peanut flour.
Oh no, there was 1 bag left. So now I made sure that there's only 3 stores left in Norway, and I got peanut flour. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if I'd have cycled 30 kilometers for peanut flour and they were there, I would have been pissed.
Well, the thing is, an issue that I had, and I explained this in the video as well. When I was going into the mall, I clicked and I hit beep on the GoPro, walked inside, went outside, beep, didn't think about it, drove away, took the last clips and such. When I was editing, I realized I'd taken 3 photos.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
no.
this is so I had to explain that through like the microphone afterwards with the photo explaining the thing, and there I was so ready to like text the Norwegian I was speaking to the woman over the counter and everything, make it look so good, and it's like I got nothing of it.
No.
That's not good.
No, oh, it was a horrible
I'm gonna
thing.
have to, we're gonna have to start wrapping things up, aren't we? Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to take him up.
Oh yeah, it'll be wee time for our little boy
Yeah.
at 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice.
I will be linking your channel in the description afterwards. But
Amazing.
thank you so much for having me on. It was like a really great. The pleasure is mine.
I hope we've answered all your questions. And if people do want to ask us any kind of questions about parenting or raising vegan kids, they can always drop us a message on Instagram if they want to.
And
I'm always happy to help.
And if you ever want to interview us again, we're down for that too.
Yeah, I was about to say if you have another topic to go over or if you want a regular discussion, just tell me and we can set up this all again. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let me see. Bye. Let me see. we can.